Hello everyone. Let me see. Yeah, great. Yeah. Hello everyone. This is Pranjal Khatal from Boots and Crampons. I would like to welcome all of you for another session of learning and conquering the seven summits. Today we are going to see the Mount Elbrus. Until now we have seen the four summits. This is the fifth one. First of all, I would like to thank you, all of you. Recently, we have become a family of 1200 followers. So, thank you so much for your response. Let's come to our live session. I would like to introduce our guest, Mr. Arun Kumar Tiwari. He is basically the one of the IT tycoon. He's a director of esteemed IT company which is ServiceNow, which is California based. He is into trekking from 2015. He has done Markha Valley Trek, Everest Base Camp Trek, then Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Elbrus. He is also part of Boots and Crampons family. So it's another family session for us. So I'll just send him the request and we are good to go. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Hello, sir.
Hi, hello, Pranjal. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah. First
Thanks
of all,
for
welcome.
thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, sir. First of all, welcome to Boots and Crampons Instagram live series of conquering and learning the seven summits. We want to hear your experiences of balancing the corporate world and your adventure and mountaineering thing. And we are going to talk about Mount Elbrus Summit as well. So, without wasting any time, we will begin. So,
Sure.
s-
Yeah.
yeah. So, sir, tell me that when did you first introduce to trekking and mountaineering? Is it from
Okay,
your
so
childhood or?
like any other kid, yeah. So Pranjal, like any other kid, which is growing in India. See, in India, basically the concept of mountain is there are a lot of pilgrimage sites in India which are actually on the mountains. In Himachal, if you go, there are so many temples on the mountains. And then, people normally go to Vaishno Devi, Amarnath, and then
Mhm.
they associate,
Chardham.
okay, I'm doing, a little bit of trekking. So as far as I'm
Mhm.
concerned, my first view into the mountains was in 2001. I got an opportunity to go to California, and at that
Mhm.
point, I used to work for Oracle. And there, basically, there is a very nice place, Yosemite National Park, and there
Mhm.
is Half Dome and those kind of areas. And a couple of
Oh,
my friends who accompanied me on that trip, I was talking to them and I was telling, wow, it is so beautiful, right?
yeah.
Probably, I don't know whether these kind of locations exist in India. And, those guys told me, man, did you not explore the beauty of Himachal, Uttarakhand? What are you doing? Probably you should go and explore the beauty over there. So that's fine.
Okay.
I came back, from that trip and I was not all that fortunate. But then in 2011, I decided that okay, I will take my father to all the pilgrimage centers, and there
Mhm.
is a famous Char Dham Yatra in Uttarakhand, which takes you to
Yeah.
Gangotri, Yamunotri,
Yamunotri,
and then
Kedarnath,
Kedarnath and
Badrinath.
Badrinath, right?
Yeah.
So I think if I were to tell you my first trekking experience, that was I think Yamunotri trek, wherein you
Oh,
have to trek near about 12 kilometers or 14 kilometers, and that
yeah.
is very crowded. I did that, and that is where I realized, man, it is not a common man's job. You need to be fit.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was my very first experience, Pranjal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So after that, when did you start actual trekking? That now you have done the Chardham and all this thing. Now, when did
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
think about this Everest Base Camp and the Nanda Devi Base Camp and all these things? what was your in your
Okay.
video? We have listened that you have done the Markha Valley trek. So tell us about that a bit.
Yeah, that's all right. So before that, Pranjal, I would like to take you through my transition. I did this
Okay.
Yamunotri and everything. And then,
Mhm.
I had a friend circle in Gurgaon. I was sitting along with those friends and I told them that, I went to this Gangotri, Yamunotri. I really liked, I was in the mountains for 11 days along with my father. And the Kedarnath tragedy also happened at the same time. By the way,
Oh,
just
2000. Okay.
2 days before, I was returning from Kedarnath. Can you just imagine?
Oh.
God was so kind to me that God spared me to enjoy the mountains more.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And
True.
then, Pranjal, when we were sitting on the table, so my friend told me I take up at least one mountain trek every time. And so far, you have been doing these, very famous kind of treks, wherein a whole lot of crowded, it becomes very crowded. So why don't you get into something, which is exciting? So I said, oh,
Mhm.
is that so? Is there something that exists, which is going to be exciting? So he said,
Yeah.
why don't we take up this Markha Valley trek? I was so
Mhm.
excited. I said, okay, Vikas, let us go and do Markha Valley trek. And let me tell
Mhm.
you, I did not take care of anything. It was just fun for me. I signed up
Yeah.
without even knowing, what is the intensity of trek, whether it is low intensity, moderate intensity, or very high intensity. I signed up straight away for Markha Valley trek. And three of us, another IT tycoon, person working in electricity organization, three of us along with a
Okay.
couple of other people, we land up in
Mhm.
Ladakh. We do
Oh.
all the acclimatization, some small stairs and everything. And then our
Mhm.
trek starts. So on Markha Valley, the first day, they took us to a roadhead. Basically on every mountain trek, they will take you to a roadhead. The
Mhm.
roadhead will stop there. And then from that point onwards, you have to trek. You will
Yeah.
not believe me, that
Right.
was a very, very genuine kind of incline, Pranjal. And I collapsed, after doing 4 hours of trekking. I collapsed on very
Oh.
first day. I said, man,
Oh.
just, somebody can open my bedroll. Somebody can give me, some sort of food to eat, water, right?
Yeah.
I was depending on all the other people.
Yeah.
So that entire journey, Markha is very beautiful trek. It will take you through, the mountains, the villages of Ladakh, especially the areas around Skew. Those are
Mhm.
indeed very, very beautiful. And on the last second day, when you're about to finish your trek, you are actually at the base of the mountain, which is known as Kongmarula.
Yeah.
Kongmarula is at a height of 5,200 meters. And
Mhm.
on one side you can see Kangyatse Peak also from there.
Mhm.
When you
Yeah.
have your tent at the base of
Right.
Kongmarula,
Right. Right.
we were so exhausted, Pranjal, that climbing that Kongmarula, I think 400 meters or 500 meters, that was like we were completely exhausted. So the point which I'm trying to make, Pranjal, over here is,
Mhm.
people get into mountaineering. Any person
Yeah.
who has been living on the plains has got this misconception that they will be able to travel, they'll be able to take long steps, small steps in the mountains also. That is not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely
That
not the
is.
case.
Yeah. Because of these movies and all these things, this started happening in this region and in this field as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not, we have to prepare for that unless you will get a very good experience of that, not preparing.
So
Yeah.
for the first
So,
time, Pranjal, it was like, fun with friends. It was a close
yeah.
group of friends. We had a good amount of fun in Markha Valley Trek. I came
Mhm.
down, and then next year again, I got excited. I said, okay,
Okay.
let me sign up for Nanda Devi East Base Camp, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. In 2015, in which year?
2015, actually, I changed my organization from Oracle to ServiceNow. I went, but I told
Okay.
ServiceNow that I'll be taking up this trek for
Mhm.
10 days in Ladakh, and
Mhm.
then after that, I will
Mhm.
come and join you. And they were absolutely
Oh,
fine. And before
yeah.
the trek, believe me, I was there in US for 6 weeks, and I had taken all
Mhm.
my shoes and everything. I used to find a trail and at least, walk every day for 10-15 kilometers.
Okay.
That saved me.
Yeah, that's a preparation. Yeah. So tell us about the Nanda Devi expedition. Yeah.
So Nanda Devi again started like that. Only close group of friends. They were graduating from the same boarding. So a friend who was based out of Nainital, he was organizing a trek for all of us who were very close friends. So Nanda Devi trek actually starts from Munshiari. Up to Munshiari, you have to travel in, jeep or car or sumo, whatever. And then Munshiari, you have to stay in the hotel, and then they will again take you to the roadhead, and they dropped us over there. But what happened in Uttarakhand is somehow the ecology has been disturbed. All these treks, in the olden times used to be beautiful treks. But because of this flood-like situation on the mountains, right? These sides of mountains have been cut so badly that, in certain cases, in order to find a path, you have to climb the mountain. Probably, the ascent is going to be somewhere close to 700 meters. You ascend because there is no, there is no path.
Right.
And then again, you descend 700 meters. So it was very painful. And in certain locations, there is one thing known as Mansingh Top. There are two ways. One way is very risky because if you fall, you are straight away, go 1,000 meters down, right?
Yeah.
So people told us, instead you climb Mansingh Top, which is like 1,000 meter ascent, and then again come down to go to the other side. So Nanda Devi East Base Camp also, the story was same. I was having a lot of that false confidence in me that yes, I can do anything in life, and without doing any physical fitness, I can go into the mountains and climb the summit, right? And the same thing happened to me. I went till the base camp, and basically, I gave up over there. That man, and interesting story I will tell you. I was talking to our expedition lead. After second day, we were so tired and, bugged up by the terrain. It was so dangerous. We started talking about chopper. We said, okay, over here in Uttarakhand mountains also, we will get chopper somehow, right? If we want to go back. And you know what lead said? He said, I will chop you. you will get chopper, not the chopper.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was the condition. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the people concept about this Kedarnath. We get the chopper, so we'll get chopper at any trek or anything. But that is not a case. And the difference between the terrain was like in Ladakh, you will get the boulders and scree terrain while trekking, and here you will get more of the forest terrain and muddy terrain like that. So which was the difficult one? Any of the one of Markha Valley and in Nanda Devi, which was the difficult one you faced? And what was your feeling after summiting the base camp?
I'll tell you. See, Markha Valley, if you look at it, terrain is very dry. Ladakh, as it is very dry kind of cold desert, right?
Yeah.
So basically you feel very monotonous, the moment you hit a village or something wherein you see some vegetation, your mind actually sparkles. But when you go into a terrain like, Nanda Devi East Base Camp, most of the stuff is, I told you that the way is also not very clearly defined because of recent floods and everything. The way is cut. In olden days, there used to be very gradual ascent, but it is actually treacherous, right? And then, let me tell you my experience after doing the Nanda Devi East Base Camp. I decided that, probably I am having this false hope, or, I'm so passionate about mountaineering, but I am not doing the hard work. This way, if I go to any other mountain, probably I will get stuck, or I may give up, or I may have a fatal injury. People told me all kind of stories. Then I came back and, I saw people, they were doing much, much better, going at faster speed. Then I came back from that Nanda Devi East Base Camp trek, and I decided in my mind that I will do Everest Base Camp trek.
Oh.
Now that is like, I have been only up to 4,000 or 5,000, right? Everest base camp
Yeah.
is up to 5,500 when you go to
500,
Kalapathar and
yeah.
all.
Right.
I came back, and beautiful thing happened to me is, in between I got in touch with a lady by the name Mala Honati. Okay. Mala
Yeah.
Honati is 67 years of age, and she's a marathoner and mountaineer, and she knows
Yeah.
Bharat and Romil very well.
Right. Right.
She
Yeah.
she guided me. She said, okay, you want to do Everest base camp, but Arun, you will not do like this. I will give you a disciplined plan. You will go as per that plan, and then we will go to Everest base camp. I said, okay, Mala ma'am, what is the plan? She told me, okay, you should be able to climb 120 floors, in one go. I said, okay.
Right.
In Hyderabad, I found a building which is 35 floors high, and I climbed, that floor 4 times. I sent a message to Mala ma'am. I said, Mala ma'am, I climbed 140 floors.
Okay.
She said, very good, Arun, very good. Now, next time you carry 10 kgs of weight and
Load.
climb.
Yeah. Load
Okay.
fail. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Pranjal, the point which I am trying to make is, mountaineering, it looks very good, but you need to do a lot of hard work. You need to
Definitely.
understand your body, and you can understand your body when you start running long distances. Then when you get into yoga, right? When you start
Yeah.
concentrating on your core, when you start
Yeah.
climbing stairs, that is when you become fit. Without
Yeah.
doing that, it is like, it is just a dream.
You made a good point of that. The physical fitness is actually needed.
Yeah, yeah.
That nowadays the younger generation is not taking care of that. Because of that, many injuries happened in mountains, and many misconception and misleading facts are going out in the world because of this thing, because of the lack of the foundation thing. So, how was the Everest Base Camp trek? Tell us about that.
Yeah, Everest Base Camp, let
So,
me admit, Pranjal, just because, I was under the guidance of Mala ma'am, she gave me a regimen to follow. I was following that regimen. I was reporting into Mala Honati that this is what my progress is. She continued to guide me. And believe me or not, Everest Base Camp trek was a cakewalk for me. Really a
oh,
cakewalk. I did not feel exhausted. And there are certain bad habits also. When you go into the mountains, along with your friends and everything, you start, the moment you reach at a place, then you start enjoying, right? You do all kinds of stuff, which is actually, in the mountains, in my mind, but as high as you go in the mountains, you have to keep yourself, very, very pure.
right,
Your
right.
mind has to be very pure. Your body has to be pure. You have to understand your body. There has to be a lot of introspection. You should not be in the celebration mode. It is like
Yeah,
a different ball game altogether.
right, right. It's like a altogether meditation for you. Like
Absolutely.
that is a famous quote in the mountaineering. When you summit the mountain, you are not summiting the mountain. You are summiting yourself. So that is the case. Many of us don't get that because of, again, I'll say the movies are getting this, the we can't say the bad impact, but they are going in a different way. So you have done the Everest Base Camp with boots and crampons only, or so after that you made the Bharat Sir and all this
Yeah,
thing in
I
Kilimanjaro
will tell
trip?
you. I will tell you,
Yeah.
Mala ma'am took me to, Everest Base Camp. The trek was beautiful. I enjoyed her company, and I made some very good friends for life on that base camp trek. And then, when I was at the base camp, and in the base camp, actually, when you reach at the base camp, right, you are actually standing on the glacier. You don't realize that,
Yeah.
but you're actually standing
Right.
on the glacier. There is a lot of gravel and everything on the base camp, and you will see that, melted snow, water is flowing underneath. And they tell you clearly that beyond this point, don't venture into the glacier, because you never know
Right.
where there is a crevasse and where you will go in, right? So I was standing at the
Yeah.
base camp, and I was thinking, can I someday go to the summit of the mountain?
Right.
And I was thinking, I was reflecting on myself, what do I need to go to the summit of the mountain? I had this dialogue. So Mala ma'am realized that, she will be able to take me only this far. She gave me a couple of tips. She said, you have to know, how to rappel down the mountains, how to do Zumaring. Okay. She told me that you should probably go for those
Basic
mountaineering courses, right? Right.
Right.
She guided me that. But along with that, she told me, okay, I will tell you the name of a person who can really guide you better. And there comes Bharat Thamineni, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I came back, Pranjal, I came back from that trek, and me and Bharat got in touch with each other. He used to drive his bullet. He used to come to Hyderabad at a point. We met in a cafe. He told me his stories. I was always excited to hear, how can a person go to Everest summit and all, right? He guided me a lot. And both Mala ma'am and Bharat, they have been mentor to me. They told me that you should be taking step at a time. You should not be rushing into mountaineering. That is where Bharat told me that why don't you try, Kilimanjaro, or after that I will suggest you something else. So we decided that okay, fine, I'll sign up for Kilimanjaro, right? And Pranjal, there is another saying about the mountains. You should have respect for every mountain. You cannot take any mountain easy. Some people say, okay, Everest is difficult. We will have only respect for Everest. Or Kilimanjaro, we can just walk past. No, that is not the case. Okay.
Yeah. Every mountain is different. Yeah.
So Kilimanjaro, briefly, I will tell you that Kilimanjaro is a very nice trek. For 2 to 3 days, you are basically having very gradual ascent, and you are into that mountain. The moment you reach Kibo, up to Kibo, there is a very long walk. And Kibo, you take rest. And mountaineering summit, normally, you start in the night time only, so that in the morning time you reach at the summit of the mountain and then come back.
Right.
So we were at Kibo, and we were thinking that, okay, it is going to be a cakewalk, fine, right? So we started ascending. Ascending in the mountain, you have to have very good coordination on your breathing and stepping, right?
Right.
Which basically pranayama and yoga teaches you, right? One step at a time and 2 breath, depending on the ascent. So in Kilimanjaro, I followed that, right? I crossed first point, Stella, and then Uhuru Peak, which is the highest point of Kilimanjaro. But while descending, it's treacherous again, Pranjal, because the ascent is easy that way, right? And I was asking my guide, should I go crisscross like this? And he said, no, you have to glide now. And gliding the surface is not like sand. Surface is full of boulders and gravel.
Boulders, yeah.
And after coming to Kibo, both my thumbs, on the feet, they were like blue in color. I lost both my nails in the coming, 6 months time, because my shoes were kind of tight. But ultimately I made to the summit, Kilimanjaro, came back, and thanks to Bharat, that was really enjoyable trip for me.
Yeah.
That was the first summit I did.
Okay, yeah. Until now you have done the base camps, no? Yeah, right. So how was that experience? Again, you are introspecting. What was your feeling like when others, or when the people do summits, their adrenaline get pumped. They want to do something like do push-ups or something, like they want to just yell anything or anything. So what was your reaction after summiting the Kilimanjaro?
See, I just think about one thing, definitely whenever we are reaching at the summit, the only reflection comes into my mind is, yes, I'm learning. I have come this far. I had some problems on the way. What were those problems? Can I overcome them? Because my desire is to go higher, right? but without overcoming those minor issues in my body. Let's say, I had a problem descending, maybe I had a problem in my knees, right? So I do a lot of research after coming down, that what were the problems during that trek, right? Did I take proper
Right.
nutrition? Did I take proper hydration, right? Or,
Right.
there is some specific kind of exercise I need to get into so that my ascending and descending is faster, right? So that gave me a
Okay.
lot of learnings with the help of
Yeah.
introspection. And there comes
Okay.
Elbrus. We are supposed to talk about
Yeah.
Elbrus, right?
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you
Yeah.
want to ask me?
Yeah. Yeah. Just take us through your journey. First, before going to Elbrus, what was the lowest point on Kilimanjaro? That nail thing, or you have any experience to tell about the Kilimanjaro?
Kilimanjaro, everything was fine. And let's say, when you are descending on angle, which is like very, very close to being perpendicular, right?
Okay. Yeah. 90 degree. Yeah.
And you have never done skiing in your whole life, right? How do you glide? That
Right.
was like my lowest point over there. And then, I did some more running, some more exercises, and then rappelling also I did. And then Bharat, I was talking to Bharat. Bharat said, okay, let's go to Russia. Let's do Elbrus.
Okay.
I said, okay. I signed up again, right? But Elbrus, let me tell you, it's a different ball game. Kilimanjaro is all dry, right? If at all you will get snow, Kilimanjaro is actually a volcanic crater. So
Yeah.
you will get
Yeah.
snow in certain
At the
season
top.
only when you reach at the top, right?
Top.
Otherwise,
Yeah. Right.
it is all, I must say, in the initial part, you see a lot of vegetation, but beyond Kibo, it is like Ladakh kind of a terrain, boulders,
Okay.
a lot of mud, lot of gravel.
Hmm.
That kind of
Hmm.
stuff is there when you go up the
Right.
mountain. Now, Elbrus is a different ball game altogether, right? So Elbrus, we signed up, we got into the flight. A lot of people were there. Everybody was fit, right? Probably I was the only oldie, but I said, okay, fine. I will go at
What
my
was your
own
age?
pace.
What was your age?
My
Sorry, you
age,
have done in 2019 only, no? Yeah.
yeah, I have done, last year only I have done. So
Yeah.
probably
So,
46 years, you can say, right?
okay. Right.
So a lot of people, they were from the police departments, Everester,
Mhm.
and you have already met the other guy, Shekhar God. He
Shekhar,
was also
yeah.
there with us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Last
Lot of
last time we
inspiration,
have done the session with this. Yeah. Right.
lot of inspiration from these guys. Now, Elbrus is different in the sense that you have to completely walk on snow. Okay,
Mhm. Right.
forget about walking on snow. I was seeing so much of snow for the first time in my life. The moment
Okay.
we went to a point. See, in Elbrus, what happens is there are two ways you can do the mountaineering. One is basically from the base of the mountain, you trek all the way to go to a base, where they have established their base, and then from
Mhm.
there you have to start your journey to the summit. The other way is
Right.
basically you take the cable cars, and you avoid that initial 3-4 days of trekking,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you take cable cars and go to the base, right? So we took the
Mhm.
cable cars, went to the base. The moment I hit the base, right, there is snow everywhere, white color everywhere. Hardly you will be able to see any other color
Black
right
rock.
up to the
Yeah.
summit. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So there we did our acclimatization. For the first time, I was having that snow goggles and those
Mhm.
mountaineering boots, crampons, right?
Mhm.
And those boots become very heavy, unless until you are investing into those kind of stuff. They become like, suddenly on my feet, every feet was having some kgs of weight.
2 kg.
And
2 kg.
I was
2 kg.
feeling,
Yeah.
yeah, I was feeling as if, I am walking on snow like an elephant, right? Putting one step with the third and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
going the other, right?
It happens in
Other,
first
int-
time. Yeah.
other interesting part is, Pranjal, on the snow, it seems very easy. It seems like a, sand desert when you look at it. Because
Mhm.
just because you have got the goggles on, so you do not see that glare. So with those goggles, you'll be able to see it in the color of sand, right? But the
Right.
problem over there is, you know, if you fall, okay,
Mhm.
on a slope, or if you
Right.
start slipping on a slope, problem is you should know how to arrest yourself. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
So interesting story. On second or third day, there'll be a course. On a small decline, your instructor will take you there, and they
Mhm.
will give you a course. Like if you're falling head
I6,
down,
yeah.
if you're falling feet down, how to arrest yourself with the ISEX, right?
I6, yeah. Right.
So, I ended up giving a beautiful demonstration to all my team members. First we did straight legs down. I was able to do it. Then instructor told,
Right.
okay, head down. So I said, okay, head down. I was nicely, whatever he told me, I thought I understood. But then when the time came for arresting myself, I could not arrest,
Okay.
right? And I got blank.
Right.
So whatever that
Oh.
that stuff was, 10 meters or 12 meters, I kept sliding till
Mhm.
down. Now just imagine
Oh.
that, guys. Whosoever is there, just imagine. If you start sliding without any support from the top of the summit, right? Wherever you will
Okay.
hit the first crevice, you will land in there and nobody will be able to even rescue you.
Right.
That is the enormity of the situation that we need to understand, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, people like Bharat, people like
Yeah.
Yuri, Yuri was our lead over there,
Instructor.
but
Okay. Okay.
they know what to do, right? So there were certain dangerous positions wherein what you do is you have got slings on both the sides, you have got carabiners, and it is all
Right.
roped up. Okay, you put your carabiners alternately, and then you try to make sure that you navigate that difficult section. While coming
Mhm.
down again, that those pickets were not there. So Yuri
Mhm.
told, and Bharat also told everyone that everybody will be roped up, right? Roped up
Right.
is like if there is a party
Right.
of 10 people, everybody will be tied with ropes.
Row.
But
Yeah.
I was not worried about myself. I found, that I am very safe because I am having huge weight, right? I was thinking if I fall, all these 8 people will come along with me.
Right. Right. So, how did you feel when you just fall down while demonstrating? What was the thought? What was the first thought that struck you in your mind?
See, the first thought was, that can I do it or not? Right
Oh,
now we are at the
yeah.
base only, and the instructor is telling me to do this. I have not been able to do it, whereas other people have been able to do it successfully. Should
Mhm.
I even go up? Because maybe, over
Yeah.
there are dangerous situations like this. And if I am not able to arrest, what will happen? So many thoughts crossing
Mhm.
my mind, right? But
Yeah.
then, but then your resolve is, you know, in the mountain, as they say, don't worry about, so many things in the first stage itself. Take it step by step,
Right.
right?
Right.
I said, okay, let me go. Let's see what happens, right?
Right. 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 Yeah. So you have done the training and tell us about the journey towards the summit.
Summit, actually, on the summit day, what happens is again, we start from our base camp at the night time.
Right.
And we reach at a position wherein, the ascent starts. So it's night
Mhm.
time, everywhere there is snow, and you have to, our guide told us that you have to have 5 layers on top
Mhm.
along with your down
Right.
jacket, and you have to have
Right.
minimum 3 layers down, or everything, and mittens and everything you have to have. He gave us all the guidance. And then
Mhm.
in the mountain, the beauty of that stuff is when you are walking on snow,
Mhm.
everybody walks in a line, because it is not some kind of highway that we can talk about, 2 lane, 4 lane, 8 lane, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
small stuff, and everybody has to be disciplined, right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
we
Right.
decided a night before among all of our team members that who is going to
Mhm.
lead, who is going to be
Mhm.
second position, third position, and nobody is going to cross anyone, just trying to prove on the mountain that somebody is faster, somebody is slower. So
Yeah.
I said, no nonsense, no nonsense on the
Mhm.
mountain. Let
Yeah.
us follow that discipline. Let us follow our
Yeah.
guide. And guide told us, walk at my pace. And another thing in the mountain is, people like Bharat, Yuri, and other people who are so experienced, they understand what is your pace. And, he used to guide us, take one step, two breath, another step, again, two breath. So it is not that we are going very fast, but you have to maintain that,
Maintain
momentum.
that. Yeah. Right.
Okay. Some people, they try to take rest too often. But when you try to take rest too often, Elbrus is a very difficult mountain in the sense that, there are no camps in between. You start
Yeah.
from the base, you have to do the summit and then come down to the base. There is no camp in between.
Oh,
And, you have to wait for a clear weather window also. And it becomes
right.
very windy, suddenly you will see cool breeze starts blowing and, visibility starts becoming very, very dull, right? So those kind
Right.
of things you need to take care of, Pranjal, right? Those were
Right.
like
Yeah.
in summit, but summit day, we were very lucky, Pranjal. It was like sunny, bright sunny. We
Oh,
started our journey in the night time and we reach at a point which is known as saddle. Saddle is basically, you climb one mountain, some hump, and then in between
yeah.
you take rest and then, you again climb the summit, right?
Go for the summit.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was in fact very smooth. Again, Pranjal, the other thing is when I was descending, again somehow, all the other people, they were like, fine, we don't want to follow any discipline because we can go faster than you. You come at your own pace, we will go down.
Yeah.
So I was like, again, one step at a time, and I was introspecting. Man, it is becoming very difficult for me, but still, slowly, I came down. But till date, I do a lot of research. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, like what is the problem in my technique, or I need to, work on something so that I descend faster.
Oh,
Because in mountain, you should never be happy when you reach at the top. That is just the beginning, right? Most of the accidents happen when you actually descend.
while
Right?
descend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because while descend, lot of pressure comes to our knees. We think that descent is very smooth and all these things, but we
No,
have to
no,
do that
no.
stick techniques and all these things. We have to take care of that. So it was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
wonderful experience of your Elbrus.
yeah.
So I'm sure you will do the Everest as well. Just try to do it in before 50.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. See, one belief, strong belief I have got in me, Pranjal. Actually, you can train your body to do anything.
Yeah.
If your mind decides that you want to do
Yeah.
something, then you can train your body to achieve anything. And that is what, I'm a strong believer in. And one day, God willing, I will definitely,
Yeah,
be there.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely you will do that, sir. And you are a part of Boots and Crampons family. I'm sure we'll will take you to the summit as well. Definitely.
yeah, absolutely. Bharat has given me a word.
Yeah. Definitely. So,
Yeah,
so that was a wonderful experience of Elbrus. Now, I would
yeah.
like to ask you a question. What mountaineering lesson teaches you in your corporate world? How they help you in your corporate world?
See, in corporate world, one thing is there, when we are working, sometimes, people forget about their life, right?
Right,
So one biggest lesson is work and life, they go hand in hand.
right.
If you have got life in you, then you can take on challenges. But if
Right.
there is no life left in you, probably you would like to be comfortable at the home or in the comfort of your job. So the moment you get into mountaineering, like, I will tell you so many experiences I shared with you that at any stage, in mountain, you have to acclimatize, you have to settle.
Yeah, yeah,
And after settling, only you take the next step. In corporate world, certain people get edgy. They want to rise to the top very fast, right? What happens to those people in mountaineering? They meet either with accident or they have acute mountain sickness or breathing issues. and they have to
Right,
be
right.
sent back with the helicopter. The same thing happens in corporate. If you
Yeah,
want to rise very, very fast, same things will happen. You know,
yeah.
there is going to be, either you will fail at first step or second step, because without acquiring necessary skills in the corporate ladder also, you cannot
Right.
aspire to go at certain level. In corporate, like, there are various levels. We start as individual contributors, then we become
Mhm.
first line managers, then we become
Mhm.
managers with delegation, then we become
Right,
leaders, wherein hundreds of people report into you, right?
right,
So there is a
right, right.
progression. If you don't
Yeah,
acquire skills, if you don't acclimatize, you will fail.
yeah. That's a wonderful lesson. That's a wonderful
Yeah,
saying, sir. Because this is very helpful for the now generation. Because a young kid who
yeah,
joined the corporate world, he wants to uh, reach the top very fast. But like you said, that we have to acclimatize first. We have to build the foundation for us, and then after that we take step by step synchronization with our breath and our step. Same thing with the corporate world. That's a wonderful thing, sir. So what are your next trekking plans?
See, actually, we are into this situation, COVID-19, right?
Right.
Had the COVID-19 situation was not there, probably, I was planning to undertake, I had spoken to Bharat also, this
Mhm.
year, Aconcagua and, any other mountain, probably at the level of 7,000 meters. I wanted to
Okay.
climb that. And,
Hmm.
my mentors told me that you have been up to 6,000 meters up till now. Now, next year,
Hmm.
you try to reach a mountain which is up to 7,000 meters, right?
Right.
You go at
Right.
the mountain which is at 7,000 meters, and
Hmm.
observe yourself. How does your body take it? You know,
Right.
do
Right.
you have breathing issues, or do you have
Hmm.
acute mountain sickness? If you are able to do
Right.
comfortably 7,000 meters, then start
Hmm.
preparing to take on 8,000 and 8,000 plus. That's what I'm
Okay.
following all my mentors, because they have got a good amount of wisdom and good amount of experience, and I would like
Yeah.
to go by that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Romil sir is saying in the chat box that we want to see your photo on the Everest waving the Indian flag.
I have got a huge respect for Romel. Whatever Romel has achieved, right, physically
Yeah,
and in life also. Probably, if I achieve only half of that, I will consider myself very fortunate.
no, no, of course, definitely you will achieve, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I just wanted to ask the question that see, while trekking in Indian mountains, we get the Indian food, like our roti chapati. Like our cooks are very fond of these things. They cook anything up there. What did you do in the Kilimanjaro and Elbrus? What did you eat? What is the
See,
mountain
actually,
food
let me,
there?
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, let me tell you, the problem comes with the, pure vegetarians. When you go out of the country,
Okay.
especially into Africa or Europe, pure vegetarians will have very limited kind of choice. And when you
Right.
are into the mountains, people who have worked very, very hard, they'll be
Hmm.
able to sustain their body on protein diet. Protein is basically you get into meat and other kind of, stuff, milk
Hmm.
products and all. But
Right.
otherwise, there has to be emphasis on carbohydrates, right?
Okay.
Carbohydrates which you
Right.
get
Right.
into, your breads and rice and potato and
Right.
those kind of stuff, right?
Hmm.
So the rule in mountain is, this was told to me again, you should be able to eat well,
Yeah.
drink well. Drinking means only water. Okay.
Water.
Drink
Yeah.
well. Okay. Pee well and sleep well and
Yeah.
potty well. Okay. These
Right.
four,
Right.
5 rules that are very basic in the mountains. If you see any issue with any 5 of these things, that is
Hmm.
giving you a sign that you have some issue, right? So that
Yeah.
is why you should get into habit of, sometimes, we don't like the food. So my only advice to people is, when you are taking mountaineering trips outside, there are so many things you can carry which are lightweight, right? Which can add
Hmm.
taste to your food.
Right.
I am fortunate to be in Hyderabad. There are so many podis, powders, right? Karam
Okay. Yeah.
podi and, right?
Okay.
so many pickles, right? You can carry these podis and powders and you can mix in your food that will give you taste. You know, potato will become tasty. When they are giving you rice, will become tasty.
Right.
So I will give that these kind of things, you know, especially when you are very, very close to doing summit and you are getting exhausted, you don't feel like eating anything. Then if you have got these Indian spices or Indian mixtures, that give you a boost.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a great, because most of the vegetarians face the issue in when they
Yes.
go outside the
Yes.
country. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a good point you made. And sir, I wanted to ask you, how do you balance this expedition and your work?
See, Pranjal, you know, in life, they say don't overdo anything, right?
Right,
If you're
right.
passionate about mountaineering, if your work is mountaineering, like so many people, you know, they are making living out of mountaineering, expedition, trekking, then that is a separate story. But if I have to
Right,
balance corporate and mountaineering, then I should not be overdoing corporate and I should not be overdoing mountaineering. So I decided,
right.
initially I decided that I will take one expedition per year. Then that was not enough. I said, okay, you know, I will start taking 2 expeditions per annum because that
Right,
is what I can manage. Now, being in corporate, Pranjal, you will agree with me, any company gives you annual leave, casual leave, and they give
right.
you, you know, sick
Sick leave,
leave and everything,
sick
right?
leave. Yeah.
So, so you will not believe me, I plan around these leaves. And I
Oh,
talk to my manager that I am not asking for more. And you know that I'm quite passionate about mountaineering. I will plan around these leaves and organize my mountaineering trip. Allow me to do that. So once you set the expectation of your managers and everybody in the organization, and they also understand that you are passionate about something, they also relieve you, right? So I
right, right.
plan and get into all these activities, Pranjal.
Oh, that's a wonderful, sir. That was actually again another lesson, how to manage the corporate thing and the
Yeah, yeah,
mountaineering, your passion, any hobby, like not necessarily the mountaineering. Then, so it was
yeah.
really wonderful talking with you, sir. Let's see if any anyone in audience have any questions for sir. So everybody, you can ask any question to sir. We have
Yeah.
5 minutes left. Then I'll ask sir some rapid fire questions. So if there are any questions, otherwise we'll go ahead. Yeah. So meanwhile, just tell the message. What message you will give you to the young kid who just came to the corporate world or in the mountaineering world as well? What message you would like to give him?
See, basically, young kids, they've got a lot of energy, right?
Right.
So if I am talking to very young kid, see, there is a difference again. As you grow up, you are also exploring yourself, right? I've
Right.
seen kids growing up. Some kids, you know, they think they can do wonders in sports, but ultimately when they get into competitive sports, they realize that they are not cut out for that, right? Some kids,
Right.
they make their passion into mathematics or science or other kind of stuff, right? So there comes an age where you understand yourself, what
Right.
you
Right.
can do, right? And what you are passionate about. Now at
Right.
that stage, you know, people should get in touch with, there are some very fortunate people who get into scenic schools and who get into, you know, this kind of education,
Military
wherein
school.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, military school, wherein holistic personality development happens.
Right.
Unfortunately, in our education system, we do not work on that holistic system, right? We will force our kids, you know, to acquire higher marks in a particular subject. We, you know, completely ignore the physical fitness. But let me tell you, if we do not work on that physical fitness right from the early childhood days, and then we expect a kid to do miracle in mountaineering or any other competitive sport, you know, that
Right.
is just not acceptable. Now,
Okay.
getting into mountaineering, I also started getting into rock climbing, right? Rock climbing, I understood that, it is very important that you should have core strength. Now,
Right,
at
right,
this
definitely.
age, I'm realizing that core strength is very important. Now, so
Right,
to any youngster, I would like to give a message that at least, these passions, they will develop at a later stage. You will get an understanding of the mountains, serious understanding of the mountains at a later stage. But at least, try to go step by step in your life, right? Whatever activity you are trying to do, don't go
Mhm.
overboard. I have seen so many young kids. They say, okay, I'll be able to, run and climb Stoke Pangri. I said, okay, best of luck. And those guys, the moment they reach at the base camp, they have to
Right.
be sent back home.
Yeah,
So,
and that is
everybody has
actually
to,
biggest.
yeah, yeah. So Pranjal, that is what I am saying, that, anybody, whosoever wants to get into mountaineering, there are certain steps. There are practitioners, people like Bharat, Mala, Romel, and there are so many other mentors also, who have
Right,
done a very good amount of stuff in mountaineering. Get in touch with
right,
those
right.
people, get guidance, and then take on all these activities step by step. And these are beautiful activities, let me tell you. You become
Yeah,
a full person who enjoys the life to the full.
yeah. Holistic development happened in the mountain, I'll say.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, sir, Robel say, sir is asking, you started very late into mountaineering. Any regrets for that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, uh, Absolutely, there are regrets. I wanted to get into Sanic school, and
Yeah.
after finishing my 10th standard, I in fact went to, there is a Sanic school in Kunjipura, Karnal. I went
Mhm.
there, and then because of certain things, I could not get into Sanic school. Then after that, I
Mhm.
used to cherish the ambition that one day, I'll be a part of Indian Air Force.
Uh,
Then again,
yeah.
Indian Air Force or engineering, the pressures. I got into
Right,
an
right.
IT and then did engineering. So,
Okay.
I used to regret that. I was physically active right throughout, but I regret
Mhm.
that I did not see the mountains so closely. Otherwise, I would have been better prepared and
Right,
probably would have been able to achieve more. Yes, there is a regret,
right.
but better late than never, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and another question is, which of your favorite expeditions until now? Which was one of the favorite expeditions?
Favorite expedition, I will say, everybody will enjoy uh, trekking in Nepal. Why?
No, no.
Because,
What's your
yeah, yeah, yeah. So my favorite expedition, I will say that, as I told you, we have to have respect for every mountain. So
Mhm.
every mountain was something different, Pranjal. I cannot say that,
Right.
probably Elbrus was the best. Elbrus taught me something else. Kilimanjaro taught me something else. And the
Mhm.
beauty is I got to meet phenomenal people, Africans, over here,
Right.
Russians, in Nepal,
Mhm.
Nepalese people. Everybody
Right.
is beautiful at heart. So I cannot say
Right.
that some expedition was the best. I
Mhm.
enjoyed all my expeditions.
Oh, that's wonderful. Like you said that thing, like we say in the mountaineering, when you make friends in mountains, they stays you forever. So this is like a thing because we share a bond, like we are together for 7 to 8 days. So it's become a bond that we are facing the calamities together, we are doing summit together. So it become a very good bond with those people in the mountains. So it was very wonderful. It was a great session with you, sir. We'll stop here.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the live session of the Boots and Crampons series. We would love to take you towards the Everest. We'll definitely do that. And that's it, sir.
Thank you. Thank
Recently,
you
we
very much,
have,
Pranjal. Yeah. Thank you very much,
yeah.
Pranjal, for being the nice host for this conversation. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Chalo, I'll end it. So guys, we have 5 minutes left. I would like to tell you that recently we have started the pre-booking of Mount Friendship Peak. I'm sure you have saw the post of our Friendship Peak, so you can go through that thing and just pre-book it. We would love to take you to the Mount Friendship Peak. So thank you so much for your response for this live series as well.